Now, your host for Public Pulse, Floyd Whiting.
Good morning and welcome to Public Pulse. The holiday season is well upon us, and although this is a time for family, friends, and coming together, there are still some safety concerns that one should keep in mind to protect loved ones and property. And joining me this morning to talk about those is the chief for the Sheridan Police Department, Travis Koltiska, and Captain Tom Ringley. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Floyd.
Now, how's the month been down at the PD so far?
It's been a very, very good month. We just hired on a new officer Monday. Ethan Cox has come to us. He's a Marine Reserve unit, in the Marine Reserve unit out of Billings, but has lived in a couple different places. So we welcome him aboard to the city of Sheridan with our police department. He'll start his initial training, and we'll be attending basic training down in January in Douglas. So
That's
we're very excited about that. Overall, it's been a great month. Thanksgiving, we got through the Thanksgiving. I think everybody overate, but that's about the extent
That's kind of the point, right?
It was a really good weekend for the police department. You know, that extended 4-day weekend comes with some challenges once in a while. A lot of people back in town, a lot of celebrations, but it went very well for the overall weekend.
That's good to hear. No major incidences, no major DUI offenses that we can think of.
No, nothing abnormal, I guess, kind of par for the course. But I think it was actually a little slow, maybe even a little slower than years past.
Which is nice for your
good.
department. Yeah,
Absolutely.
The Sheridan Police Department also announced that you have sworn in the first officer of the new Reserve Police Officer Program, and that officer is a familiar face. Who is this familiar face?
It's Officer Megan Phillips, who worked for us for approximately 3 years as actually a whole year before that in 2017 as a dispatcher. She was super young, but she proved to us at a very early age or stage in her dispatch career that she was definitely officer material, and we hired her as an officer. She was the honor grad in her Peace Officer Basic course in Douglas.
I read that and wow.
She's also a firearms instructor. She resigned her officer position with us because she has a really fantastic life, and she wanted to enjoy that to its full extent. But throughout her absence, she's actually been helping us by filling in dispatch, especially during the pandemic. She really helped us out a lot, and she's the first one that we're welcoming back as a reserve officer.
That's fantastic. And what a resource.
Yeah, Megan is highly competent.
I mean, firearms instructor, honor grad. Wow.
Yep.
It's great to see her put the shield on.
You know, these programs too, and with the reserve program, the standards are the exact same as the rest of our officers. We do not compromise standards for our reserve program. They have to go through the same physical testing, all the same interviews, written testing, psychological, polygraph. The standards to get on as a reserve are the exact same as they are to go on full time. It's just designed and catered to people who want to give back and aren't quite ready to commit. You know, it's not designed as a point of entry into the police department. It's designed for those that say they either have a different career, another career that they're doing, but they have a desire to serve their community in this capacity and have the qualifications to do so. So that's where Megan's at right now, and we welcome her back.
Absolutely.
So she's a valuable resource for our department.
How is that program being received within the community? Are we getting a lot of participation or a lot of people?
We're getting a lot of inquiries, and let's remember, Megan's the first officer we have, and it's a new program. So she's the ideal person to test it out on, especially there are certain requirements as to how much time we would require for them to be on patrol, how much time to fill in dispatch and training requirements. So we're going to take it very slow.
Yeah.
But we've got great community feedback from all levels, from city council to just our regular residents. This month we're interviewing another gentleman who's interested, who's a retired officer from somewhere else. He has the same characteristics as Megan, but we're going to do the crawl, walk, run thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have 5 brand new reserve officers, and
all of a sudden everyone
train back up, and on top of all the other stuff we have to do. So we're going to ease into it, and it's going to be the thing. We know the right person when they meet our requirements.
I've even had an inquiry from someone out in the public who came up and said, "What do you know about this program?" And their father was in law enforcement, and it was just something that they didn't end up taking a career path in. And they have a very successful career, but they thought, I've always wanted to do something like that. So
And that's exactly what it's designed for that person, whether they are retired, whether they have served in the law enforcement capacity, or whether they never have. There's no set mold for it, but it's other than that person that wants to give back in that law enforcement capacity, that wants to give to the community. And so that's what we're looking for in this program. And like the captain said, we're not going to just jump into the scalding water feet first. We're gonna make sure we do this right. We're gonna make sure that whatever bugs or kinks may be in our program, we're gonna work those out. So we have a very fluid program, and it's specifically designed on those special events when we need a little bit of extra staffing, or we have a shortage due to pandemic. Any things like those that we can make some phone calls and still keep our staffing at a level that we can provide the safety to the community.
A fantastic program, and I'm looking forward to maybe even speaking with a reserve officer in the future who's gone through the program. Now, let's move on to the holidays. What are your concerns around the holidays? What are some things some folks should keep in mind?
Don't overindulge to the point where you can't take care of yourself and make good decisions. Historically, our alcohol-related incidents increase over the second half of December into the first half of January because it's holiday season.
Christmas parties.
Lots of Christmas parties. And we remind people that the same rules apply every day of the year. And there are no freebies just because it's Christmas time. But we'd remind people, like we always do, just be responsible. We highly encourage people to have a good time and enjoy themselves, but do so responsibly. Have a plan to get home safely.
Now, real quick, what are the ride home options available to those who may have had one too many at the Christmas party? Like you said, that maybe it's somebody who doesn't do this very often, and all of a sudden they find themselves,
and this is the kind of thing people need to research ahead of time. They're the private rides home where you pay someone. There's also the safe rides home, or the free rides home program that the liquor dealers participate in, but not all do. Almost all of them do, but find out beforehand that
be wise,
whether or not the place you're going to is a participant. Otherwise, you can ask someone to call you a taxi, which is always the right answer. You just might be on the hook for the full fare. Just
make sure you've got that taxi money in your pocket. And that's the pocket you don't reach into to buy a drink, right? Or keep it in your sock, wherever you got to keep it. Just have that available just in case one too many and you got to get home.
Yeah, and looks like it's going to be a colder winter than usual. And already we've this month we've responded to 2 people passed out on sidewalks in extremely cold temperatures. Luckily, Good Samaritans called in and told us, and we were able to get to the people while they were still asleep. Mm-hmm. But they were fine. But that's the other major hazard of the wintertime. And this season, as it's cold, and hypothermia will set in no time.
People forget you can die from exposure at 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
That's the threshold. Only 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which if it was 50 right now, we'd be in T-shirts outside.
Absolutely.
Right? But that is the threshold for dying of exposure. And so when we're talking 20 degrees and the humidity what it is, or even colder than that, it does not take the body long to go and become hypothermic. And it's unfortunately happened here, and we want to avoid that at all costs. There are alternative ways to get home. There are people that will give you rides. There are taxis. There are safe rides. There are means, so utilize them.
And the safest way is not to overindulge to the point you have to even think about these decisions. One thing we've noticed over our careers is people who don't normally overindulge and aren't used to drinking large amounts of alcohol do, and they're not used to it and can't really process it that well.
Even somebody I know over Halloween had one too many, and it, had a safe ride home. That was all good, but boy, the sick, the sick, just not used to it. Mm-hmm. And then you get in that bar environment, you're having a great time, and somebody says, "Let's take some shots." Yeah, sure. And,
there's a lot of people that come home. That come home for the holidays and they see friends out, and so it is very celebratory. And we want to encourage people to have a good time. But again, it's responsible. It's about being responsible and doing so,
and making sure that you've got a ride in this cold weather. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I had a friend who was working in an establishment in Rock Springs, and they were going to work, and they found someone who went behind the place
Yep.
and laid down by the dumpster and passed away.
Yeah, and it's
due to
unfortunate.
cold.
We both literally peeled people off sidewalks.
It's just horrible.
And it is horrible. I think 2 years ago we had someone pass away in a stairwell of an unheated stairwell of an apartment building that just couldn't apparently find their key or get into their apartment, and they passed away as well. So we're not just saying this to scare people.
It happens.
It's a problem we're truly trying to prevent.
So make sure you got a ride home, folks. Another thing is there's a lot of stress on individuals this time of year. And so alcohol is not the answer, but it's where we go sometimes as people.
Yeah, traditionally we seem to see an uptick in family-related incidents of violence or arguments. Financial things come to the surface with Christmas and trying to provide a Christmas for the family, and it becomes a very stressful time. Sometimes you have family members that maybe it's best that they're out of town and you guys don't live together or live in the same location. Come back and some unresolved issues may come to the surface. So traditionally, the department sees a slight uptick in those types of situations that we're providing some sort of intervention and trying to provide different means for that people to resolve their issues, some resources that will help them to prevent any violent actions happening. So that's another thing. It does become stressful in the holidays. People really want to provide everything they can for their families, and sometimes the means just aren't there. And this is going to be, we understand with there's a lot of other factors in play in this year since 2020 that we're aware of, and we want to encourage people to find the best solution they can to any issues they have. So
take that extra breath, count to 10, step outside, whatever you've got to do. But yeah, I can completely understand that. Yeah, I think all of us have got that one family member, and a lot of this begins with the server. And I'm not blaming them. I'm saying that they see. I mean, I tended bar for a while, and I knew people by the drink.
Yeah,
not their name. So we understand a lot about what's going on in someone's life. And you can get advanced training on that. The Sheridan Police Department will present TIPS training from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, December 10th at the Police Department building. Has this class filled up? Is there still seats, and can people still get in there?
There should still be seats. People can call the police department and ask for Corporal John Snoozy, and he can give them information. It's not, if we need more space, we can certainly move to a bigger room.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's not really limited by size, and it's a great program. And servers within the city they really do a good job.
They do.
Especially on the weekends when as busy as it gets, and they're having to keep track of everyone. They've been very diligent, and they've certainly been calling us, not only asking for walkthroughs, but also just like, hey, I think there's a problem about to happen, and could you please come here before it does? So they do a great job. And the part of that is the tips, and the other value of the tips training is letting the servers know we have no desire to get people in trouble.
No, yeah.
We'd much rather walk through and have a relationship with them so they feel comfortable with us, and they know that they can call us.
Yeah. And tips training is extremely valuable. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is an ordinance saying that all of our service within city limits will attend tips training.
Yeah, within 90 days of employment at an establishment that serves alcohol, servers are required to become certified, not necessarily in tips, but in beverage server training. So it's not specified as tips. Tips is the one we offer.
Okay.
That we will provide free of charge.
But there are others.
There are others out there. And as long as it's one that has equal standards and qualifications to tips, and yeah, they're good that way. So if maybe somebody comes from out of town and they took some sort of beverage server training in their other state, right? And if they say, yeah, here's my card for whatever it's called, that would be sufficient. But it's got to be done within 90 days of employment.
Okay. All right. When we come back, we're going to continue with our Sheridan Police Department. This is Public Pulse on 930 KROE at 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
First Federal Bank and Trust is committed to our community.
Beginning in January, we'll be donating $1,000 cash each week for 52 weeks to a qualified Sheridan County nonprofit organization, and Sheridan Media will match that with a marketing budget.
First Federal is one of 2 mutual banks in Wyoming, which means they don't pay stockholders. They reinvest your funds right back into the place we call home. Visit efirstfederal.bank for details. Community commitment, presented by
First Federal Bank and Trust
and Sheridan Media.
Member FDIC.
25th Annual Christmas Wish campaign's in full swing, and we're working hard to assist where we can with the wishes we've received. Dear Christmas Wish, I know a family that could really use some assistance this holiday season. The dad has to travel for unexpected radiation treatments through the next 2 months. Mom is on disability, but has taken a part-time seasonal job and visits the food bank in an attempt to reduce the strain on their limited resources. If you're willing to help or would like to donate to this family or our Christmas wish, go to SheridanMedia.com, click on the button to donate. We'd sure appreciate it. And thank you to our community partners, Atlas Chiropractic, First Federal Bank and Trust, Heartland Kubota, Advanced Auto Body, A-Line Roofing and Exteriors, Wyoming Corporate Office, and Odell Construction. The 25th Annual Christmas Wish campaign's in full swing, and we're working hard to assist where we can with the wishes we've received. Dear Christmas Wish, I know a family that could really use some assistance this holiday season. The dad has to travel for unexpected radiation treatments through the next 2 months. Mom is on disability, but has taken a part-time seasonal job and visits the food bank in an attempt to reduce the strain on their limited resources. If you're willing to help or would like to donate to this family or our Christmas wish, go to SheridanMedia.com, click on the button to donate. We'd sure appreciate it. And thank you to our community partners, Atlas Chiropractic, First Federal Bank and Trust, Heartland Kubota, Advanced Auto Body, A-Line Roofing and Exteriors, Wyoming Corporate Office, and Odell Construction.
Hundreds with the Stressless Sale Flyer at Carol's Furniture. Celebrating 50 years of unique Norwegian design, Stressless is giving to you while you give to your favorite charity. Donate $50 or more to a charity and you'll receive $200 off any Mike or Max recliner in your choice of color, or choose a Stressless chair and ottoman or a power recliner. See more offers in the Stressless Flyer in this week's Country Bounty and shop Carol's Furniture in historic downtown Sheridan. Financing available with approved credit at carolsfurniture.com.
Good morning and welcome back to Public Pulse, brought to you by First Federal Bank and Trust. I'm Floyd Whiting. This morning we're speaking with the Chief of the Sheridan Police Department, Travis Koltiska, and Captain of the Force, Tom Ringley. Many of us have seen the doorbell camera footage. People running up to the porch and stealing delivered packages. Chief, Captain, should people be concerned about the safety of their packages no matter where they live?
People should be concerned about the security of their residents, no matter where they live. It's just a sign of the times we live in, but specifically around the holiday season when people know that other people are going to have packages delivered. They should be extra careful.
You know, when my wife moved over here, she lived on the outskirts of Minneapolis, and her mind was just, why are you not locking the door? Why are you not locking the car? What is wrong with you? And then, you know, we went through this little Goldilocks period where I kept telling her, we don't have to do that around here. And then the thefts began and people started losing weapons, and now we lock everything.
You know, it really is. Growing up here, and I don't think my parents knew where their house key was at when I grew up.
Right.
We lived 7 miles east of town, and not a lot of visitors, and everybody that lived around us was family. But you can't, that's not the right mindset to have. We have to secure our things, and it's just, it's a good practice for not only our property, but for our own safety.
Yeah.
And so it's imperative that people use those locks on their doors and use those locks on their cars. And I don't like we shouldn't have to at Sheridan. Well, unfortunately, there are still people in Sheridan that steal.
Yeah.
and it's just a reality. So let's do what we can to make their lives more difficult, and especially this Christmas season, package thefts, they happen all over. We do see them on the cameras, on the doorbell cameras, all over the place. Sometimes they're pretty hilarious.
Sometimes watching those owners come out, yeah.
Other times not so much, but we can do some certain things. We can put some steps in place. Especially if you're expecting a rather expensive item, maybe arrange for a pickup at the facility instead of having it delivered.
Yeah,
neighbors. That's the thing I love about Sheridan too, is we do have great neighbors, and we can rely on our neighbors to say, hey, I'm expecting some things. If you see them, would you grab them for me, and I'll come over and get with you. And if you happen to be home, because a lot of these deliveries are out while people are working, and we're not necessarily there to see what gets delivered. Sign up for tracking and notifications on applications. They're really good about that. That's kind of a newer thing, I guess, in recent years. Is you can get notifications, hey, your package has been delivered, and so you have an idea, and if you can get an opportunity to get home and get it tucked away and put inside.
15 minutes, run to the house.
Yeah, if you have that opportunity, or have a neighbor that can go grab it. Those are some ways to keep your things safer.
And you're right. Some of those videos are slightly hilarious when people get caught. But I think to myself, those are the individuals who have those doorbell cameras. And there's not a lot of those out and about, is it?
No, there's not a lot, but there's more than there was in years past, and that's one thing we're, just as a reminder to the community, those people that do have those, we have that program at the police department, just a registry of people that have those cameras around their houses. So if we do have crimes that occur, we have some resources to go and try to look and check some cameras out to see if anything may have been captured. So just a little plug for that program one more time.
Absolutely. I was going to say, folks, if you install a new one, maybe you get one for Christmas this year.
Call Lieutenant Hill at the police department. They've got a registry going, and it's something that sometimes we can tap into those. Surveillance footage is a very, very good tool, useful tool in investigating crimes nowadays. And if that's a way for us, if we know where there are cameras and where they're pointing, and kind of, we don't want any access to them. We're not asking for any access. We don't want to be able to. We want to know if you have that, and if you'd be willing, if we have something and for you to look at it, say yes, it captured something. I'll burn you a disc or disc. Wow,
way to date yourself, sir.
Yeah, I didn't say floppy. Put it on a jump drive, and I'll get it to you, or I'll email it to you, or whatever. However your system works, and help us solve some crimes.
Absolutely. And if we get a lot of those, who knows what could be captured on there. Now, for many of us, it is time to travel. For some of us, this is going to be the season for the big vacation that we take. Some safety tips when we're out of town. Social media, a big player nowadays.
It is. We completely understand the fun in posting holiday pictures and videos and whatnot on social media, but our advice would be to wait until you've returned from your vacation or your trip to post it. Otherwise, all you're doing is advertising that your house is empty.
When it comes to certain social media platforms, boy, they ask for everything. What's your phone number? What's your address? And then they put it all up there. Someone, all they got to do is search your name, and they can find all that information. Oh, well, it looks like they're at Disneyland this year.
And people forget, if you even you're out of town and you take a picture inside a sterile room where nobody can tell you're out of town, it still has your location.
Yeah,
everything's geo-based, and so it still shows your location. Oftentimes when you put a post on certain things. So, yeah, it's always best just to wait, not advertise it, let people know that you're out of town.
It's amazing how the police department has had to react. Police departments all over the world have had to react to this developing social media.
Yeah.
And the things that we allow people to know about our lives.
Pictures of expensive items.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's a new car or something inside the house, all you're doing is advertising what you have.
Exactly.
Now, the odds are slim, but let's mitigate everything. Or you can also control the access of who can see your social media account as well.
What are some other tips if I go out of town where I could make my house appear maybe like someone is home or
timers for your lights? Again, I'll go back to the neighbors. Have the neighbors go in and out. If it snows, have somebody arrange to have somebody shovel the walk, right? So it doesn't look like it's very simple things that people don't think about. having tell your neighbors, hey, if you want to park in my driveway while I'm gone, park in the driveway, feel free to do that, right? But like I said, light timers, there are different things, options that are out there available to make it look like that there's people moving around your house.
There's someone in there. Yeah, we don't have to go all Kevin McAllister, but it's pretty smart. I really like the snow shoveling. That's a great.
Yeah,
great
I mean,
tip.
if it's snowed, people know this. They nobody shoveled that walk in a week. Nobody's home. There's no tracks in the snow. Nobody's home.
See, I would have never thought of that.
People that are getting newspaper deliveries on their steps. Arrange to have somebody pick the newspapers up, or put a stop on your paper delivery in your mail.
And then just run down to and pick it up.
Temporary stop on it while you're gone, and then you go back pick it up when you get back. Very simple things that show signs of movement and life around the place. You want to keep that illusion.
Absolutely. All right. There's some tips for you folks. Chief, Captain, I want to thank you both for coming in and speaking with us today. Happy holidays to you and the team. And please be safe.
Thanks, Floyd. Merry Christmas.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk with the Johnson County Commission Chair, Bill Novotny. This is Public Pulse on 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Check.
First Federal Bank and Trust is excited to announce the First Federal Community Commitment Program.
Each week for 52 weeks starting in January, First Federal will select a Sheridan County nonprofit who will receive $1,000 in cash, plus Sheridan Media will match that with a marketing budget.
You can find an entry form at any First Federal Bank location or online at efirstfederal.bank. If you've received a donation from First Federal in the last 3 years, you're automatically entered into the drawing.
Community Commitment, presented by
First Federal Bank and Trust
and Sheridan Media.
Member FDIC.
Champion Funeral Home is dedicated to providing compassionate and personalized service to your families. They provide support, personable care, and affordable prices to Sheridan and Johnson County and surrounding areas. Champion Funeral Home has been family-owned and operated since 1911. They will comfort you in your time of need and provide your family with a meaningful tribute to your loved one. Contact Champion Funeral Home at championfh.com or call 674-6369.
You grunt and groan every time you stand, bend, or reach. Ow. Aching bones and aching joints, they're not just painful, they're noisy. But seriously, for some, aching joints are debilitating. The specialists at Sheridan Ortho work tirelessly to end your aches and pains. From advanced hand and upper extremity surgery to computer-navigated spine surgery to complex sports medicine like hip arthroscopy, you're in good hands. Sheridan Orthopedics, serving Sheridan and the surrounding areas for over 50 years. Visit SheridanOrtho.com. Same-day appointments may be available.
Shop local first.
ERA Carroll Realty and Sheridan County Title bring you the 6th annual Hometown Shopping Sweepstakes. This is your chance to win hundreds in gift certificates and chamber bucks from our Sheridan and Buffalo merchants.
Shop local first. All across the area. Shop here first.
Winners get gift certificates from stores like Black Sheep Barber, Expressions Art Gallery, Window Works, and more. Blowdorn Lumber in Sheridan, Cheesecake Squared, Urban Thrift, Sheridan Wild Sports Card, Heartland Kubota, EBA Hearing, Clean Air Wellness, and Pride and Groom. Enter daily through December 14th. Go to the contest page at SheridanMedia.com.
Shop local first. All across the area. Shop here first.
Wrap Plumbing and Heating can handle any job you have, big or small. From new construction to a pesky leaking toilet, the professionals at Wrap Plumbing and Heating are here to assist you. Drippy faucet? Sure. New shower hardware? No problem. Plumbing an entire new house? For sure. Clogs that need snaked? Oh yeah. Wrap Plumbing and Heating has not met a job they can't handle. Too big a crap? Call Dan Rapp at 429-1196.
Good morning and welcome back to Public Pulse, brought to you by First Federal Bank and Trust. I'm Floyd Whiting. For the second part of our show this morning, I am joined by the chair of the Johnson County Commission, Mr. Bill Novotny. Good morning, Commissioner, and happy holidays.
Hey, happy holidays, Floyd. It's great to visit with you this morning.
It's good. It's always good hearing your voice, sir. How have you been?
I am good, and I hope you had a chance to enjoy some of the festivities over in Buffalo this weekend. we started off lots of businesses had great sales. There was a free chili feed in Crazy Woman Square, and what's so great about that, all the local businesses and restaurants get together, make that's entirely free for the folks, have that wonderful lighted Christmas parade. I think there were like over 15 floats in that. You saw a great entry from Johnson County Road and Bridge. They made a little red wagon that was about 14 feet long on one of our flatbeds. Then the Buffalo FFA kids got together, and they had a hell of a fireworks show to cap off the day. So it was just a great time to set the holiday spirit over in Buffalo, and we're just so thankful that we had good weather and people could come out and enjoy it.
We really wanted to go this year, but we had an appointment up in Billings that we had to be at all day long, so we ended up actually missing it. Pretty disappointed by that, but we were able to get downtown and get some shopping done over the weekend. My wife has got some favorite shops that she loves to hit. Her family back in Minnesota loves to see anything Buffalo sent to her, especially her dad. He's pretty easy to shop for. Just head on downtown Buffalo and buy anything that says Buffalo on it. Now,
okay, he's got great taste.
He does. The commission recently made an appointment of the new Johnson County clerk. Can you tell us about that, sir?
It was a really an interesting situation, and certainly a little bit unfortunate. Kate Harriet, who was elected county clerk, has a health issue that's come up, and so she has elected to not take the position. So it started off a process. Floyd, the Johnson County Republican Central Committee, met and interviewed candidates and sent 3 names to the commissioners. When they do that, then we have 5 days to act on those names that they forward to us, and it's a pretty quick turnaround. We got the names Friday morning, so we met yesterday. We interviewed the 3 candidates that were finalists, had a open vote so that everybody could watch the process, and when the dust settled, one of the deputy clerks in the office right now, Jackie Camino, was selected to be Johnson County's next county clerk. And what is interesting about this, Floyd, is that she is going to serve until the next election, which would be in 2 years. And then she has to run for the remainder of the term. So it's just a 2-year appointment that Jackie is going to have, and then she'll make the decision. And she's indicated during her interview that she intends to run for the full term. It's nice to have somebody who's familiar with the office that's in the office right now. I've known Jackie a long time, and she's very competent. She's incredibly friendly and outgoing, and I think she's going to make just a great county clerk.
Well, congratulations to Jackie Camino, and here at Sheridan Media, we wish Kate Harriet all the best in the future. Unfortunate that arose when it did. Sir, what are the duties of a county clerk? What does this position entail?
Well, if you had to think in football terms, the county clerk is kind of the offensive coordinator, the general manager, the head coach. Sometimes they're the quarterback. They really do it all. And you think about the elections, and that is just a very, very small part of the duties of the county clerk. The county clerk is the chief budget officer for the county. The county clerk is responsible for all titles, all recordings, whether it's a mining claim or a mortgage or a security agreement that is involved with a car loan, marriage licenses. You're going to go to the county clerk to get death certificates. Just so many things beyond just running the election. As a commissioner, I jokingly say I think I talk to the county clerk more than I do my mom, and that's just because we have such an integral and working relationship in the day-to-day. County clerk does all the payroll for the county. County clerk handles all of the HR, so the benefits, health insurance, Wyoming retirement, all of these things that keep the county running and also that provide such critical services to the residents that you don't think about. But the clerk is there. And if you've ever been into the back of the clerk's office in the vault where all of the track books, and you can go into those books and look back to when Johnson County was founded and see as the early settlers were filing and people were buying lots in the city of Buffalo as it had just been chartered, and that's all recorded, and you can go through history and watch as property and things have changed hands, and it's just really incredible the amount of history that's involved in that job.
And I love that you bring that up, sir, because the Johnson County clerk, a clerk of any smaller type of rural county really does have their hands full. They take on so much responsibilities, but I love that you bring up the fact that they are also keeping history. When I was working for the newspaper over there in Buffalo, heading back into that safe was a typical place to be, and looking back through history, because that's good, solid information right there, and it really does charter all the way through the development of Johnson County, the development and growth of Buffalo. It's pretty amazing to actually sit down with that information once you understand it and understand how to read it. It's fascinating. And speaking of property changing hands, the Wyoming Game and Fish Department has purchased the Ellis property in southern Johnson County. Can you tell me about this?
It is. And for the sportsmen out there, they'll remember a couple years ago they saw an increase on the price of their conservation stamp. They went up to $21.50. And the Game and Fish was tasked by the legislature to start to use that extra money to secure access to help hunters and anglers and bird watchers and people that just really like to get out and enjoy Wyoming, to give them greater access to the public lands. We all know we've got a lot of public lands that are landlocked or are difficult to access, and so that was the Game and Fish's charge. And I believe the first purchase that they're going to do with some of that money will be about 2,000 acres down outside of KC, a part of the old Ellis Sheep Company, a piece of land to hopefully increase public access. And certainly this was not an easy decision for Johnson County to support, and it's not that there isn't 100% support for public access. There are some questions about weed management, about maintenance of fences, and then just a general concern about what happens when you take private property out of private hands and give it to the government. And so really a very interesting discussion. Ultimately, the county went ahead and supported that purchase. The Game and Fish has to get the support of the county, or the legislature, the way the law was written, they're not allowed to access those funds. And so they were going to have to try to pay for that purchase by other means. So my real hope is that we see the Game and Fish be good partners with the neighbors down there, making sure that they're controlling the weeds. We're very concerned. The Mikey family, who is a long time Johnson County ranch family, has leased this property for a long time. They run sheep on it. We were told that they've been given another year on their lease. My hope is that the Game and Fish are going to enter into a long-term lease with the Mikeys, so they've gotten some certainty. This is country that really can't run cows in. It's country that you graze it for a short time with sheep, and then you got to get the livestock out of there because it becomes pretty inaccessible in the winter. So it's not something where they run livestock year-round. And certainly we know that livestock grazing is great for preventing range fire. It also helps in the health of the of the soil up there and the flora and fauna if you do grazing correctly. And certainly the Mikeys are really good operators, and we know they do that. And so we'll be watching to make sure that even though this land is dedicated for sportsmen, that also we're going to continue to see an ag use up there that creates jobs in our community, helps funnel money back in through sales tax and other things. And certainly I don't want to downplay the investments that sportsmen and people that enjoy the outdoors make to our local economy as well. So it's a real fine balancing act of how we can keep ag going, but also continue to increase public access.
And I really appreciate you bringing up all of those points, because that is something that needs to be discussed. A government agency shouldn't be able to just walk in and purchase land, even if it is for sale, without some very serious discussion, because 9 times out of 10, once that land is purchased and becomes something different other than private, it doesn't come back to the private fold very often, does it?
It doesn't. And certainly we all have watched and had some concern as you see parcels get nominated that the state of Wyoming owns for sale. And it seems like it's only the rich guy that ever is able to afford those. And so we just watch warily as we're watching more and more of Johnson County get bought up by rich out-of-state individuals who don't necessarily care about our community. They're just here to recreate, and then they jump on their jet and leave. That's certainly maybe not the Johnson County that I want to see. It's not the Johnson County that I grew up in. Yeah.
A lot of good family-owned land out there. I would like to see continue to be just that. Moving on, how are things going on down there at the skilled nursing facility?
Well, Floyd, we had talked right after that ribbon cutting, and we had a meeting last week. We meet every other week for an update with the contractors, and they are getting very, very close to finishing Cottage 1. They're in the process of inspections on the other 2, and once they can get that certificate, can look at getting staffing in place, and hopefully in early next year we'll see residents in there. I was hoping that the folks would be in there for Christmas, but things are taking just a little bit longer because of some contractor issues, and that gets back to workforce, and they can't find people to work. And they had the major contractor that was doing the painting. That company kind of went out of business. They're still honoring their contract to get that painted and all the work done, but Full Construction, who's done a great job on this, they're working through that punch list, and I'm real hopeful that in early 2023 we'll see residents up enjoying that incredible facility.
Are you starting to see an influx, or have you seen the influx of interested parties who are looking at employment into this place? Have we got some skilled nurses and some doctors who have expressed interest to you at all?
I know they are inquiring with the folks up at the Veterans Home about when that application process is going to open up and when they can start applying for those positions. But at this point, the legislature has authorized the positions and they're funded. Just at this point, nothing's really been advertised yet because they need to have that date of when we can start so they can bring those folks in and get going. And so it's kind of the chicken or the egg type situation. But I'm very hopeful that they'll have more than enough folks interested in that. Obviously, whether it's Buffalo or Sheridan, we know how tight the housing market is and how difficult that is. And certainly I'm talking with Luke, the CEO of the hospital here, about housing. He's concerned. I've spoken with our superintendent of public instruction, Charles Oskey. He's concerned because they're worried on how that first-year teacher right out of college or that brand-new nurse can afford or even find a place to rent in our community or over in Sheridan. The same problem is over there. And it's going to be a struggle, but if we work collectively and kind of think out of the box and kind of get out of the way of private industry, who's going to be the one that's going to solve the housing issue, we can get this done.
Yeah, but like you said, a lot of factors going into that. Now, what is the Johnson County land use plan?
So, Floyd, that was the start of the big discussion last night at the planning and zoning meeting. And each county, whether you have zoning regulations or not, has a county land use plan. And that lays out what the historical and desired uses are for land within your county. It does not stretch into the boundaries of the city limits. So the land use plan basically starts at the edge of the city and goes out to the county line. And our document has not really been updated since 2005. So the Planning Commission is going to be putting together an RFP very shortly to go out and kind of solicit some contractors that can work with them to go through the process. We want an incredibly robust process that has lots of public involvement. We want the people to comment and help us shape the way we want Johnson County to look for the next 10 or 20 years. And, these documents are only as good as the people who are willing to participate and help make them good, solid documents. This is something similar to the county's natural resource plan, and every county in the state has one of those. We use that when we're dealing with the federal land management agencies, whether it's the Forest Service or the BLM, and that allows us to use our cooperating agency status, and that lets us tell the federal agencies how we want to see our natural resources be used. And so this document complements that, but they are different because that document pertains to the federal lands that are in Johnson County as well as the state lands. This one is specific to private property and how we want to see things develop. And we're going to have growth, but I'd much rather see growth on our terms than unfettered growth. Certainly, as you're driving to Sheridan every morning, I know you can, if the light is right, probably see all the houses that are popping up around Lake DeSmit, and
I do,
also in that Emerald Park area. And there's certainly some questions as you see valuable agricultural land being taken out of production for new housing developments. Just what that does to the west, certainly it has an impact on wildlife as you see pieces of land being cut up and fences put in. So that's why this document is just so important.
Absolutely. And making sure that the growth that is going to happen, like you said, no matter what, it's going to happen. But controlled growth is better than that chaos. Commissioner, I want to thank you so much for calling in today. Happy holidays to you, the Johnson County Commission, and everyone working hard in that office.
Hey, thanks, Floyd. Good to talk to you.
You've been listening to Public Pulse on 930 KROE and 103.9 FM, Sheridan.